So another moment which seems really important to me for you is when you were cast as a backup dancer in 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T. To me, it seems like that may have been a butterfly effect moment for you. Do you remember getting the call telling you got that job and what that
Well,
meant to you at that point?
that was my very first job. At that time, there were on. I was not a member of the union.
Ah, SAG.
I couldn't go and audition for anything. But Eugene Loring, who was the head of the American School of Dance, was choreographing the 5,000 Figures of Dr. T, and he needed 60 male dancers. And at that time, there were not that many male dancers in the union. So some of us non-union guys got to audition and got picked. And then then I was earning money, and with the money I made, I was able to join the union, and then after that, continue auditioning for other musicals that in the future, like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
So that gets you into SAG, and then that opens other doors, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
You were then cast as a backup dancer for Marilyn Monroe and possibly her most famous movie scene, the song dance number in Diamonds Are for Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. What were you feeling getting the call that you were going to have that opportunity? And what do you remember about the chain of events that led to you getting that gig?
Well, at that time, I didn't appreciate who Marilyn Monroe was. I didn't know any of that. But what I knew was about that particular film and that particular number, it was choreographed by Jack Cole. And all the dancers in town, we knew who Jack Cole was. And that's there were two choreographers that the kids especially wanted to work for, Jack Cole and Robert Alton. So the fact that I didn't know about Marilyn, but I knew about him, but the experience of working on that was really quite special. It's a great number, it's just a wonderful number. And looking back on her and observing her and the wonderful way she worked, she was quiet. She was concentrated. She was, when they called cut for any reason, she didn't look in the mirror. She didn't go to her dressing room. She went right back to her starting position, just like us, to start the next take. And after I just appreciated her work ethic. She wasn't a glamorous movie star. She was a working actor who was very, very concentrated, who cared very much about what she was doing.
And then you started working pretty heavily after that with gigs on Give a Girl a Break with Debbie Reynolds, Brigadoon, No Business Like Show Business. What memories stick out to you the most about those years in your life? Was there a moment in those years where you felt like, hey, I finally made it? And yeah, I think that would be a good place to start there.
Well, of course, I was so naive. I didn't think of things in a very professional way. That took me a long time. But I loved working on Give a Girl a Break and watching Debbie, who was so young and so good. It's very, very smart. She was so smart. And working for There's No Business Like Show Business. The choreographer for that was the other choreographer the kids all loved working for. His name was Robert Alton. And so I continued pretty much getting lucky, because there were these films that were like White Christmas and so on that I got to be in. I had to audition, and I was one of the people picked to be in the background. But being in the background was fun. It was fun because you never felt like, I don't know, it never felt that way to me. We were all working together. But so the moving musicals in the 50s, they weren't making them anymore the way they had been in earlier times. I'm not sure, probably up to I'm guessing now 1955. So I found other ways. I worked in Vegas. Worked as a correspondent with Jane Mansfield in her show in Vegas, and so I was able to keep working, but not all the time, so when work became sparse, I'll say, I thought, well, I better go to New York, and that's what I did. I had friends who had already done that and been in New York. We're living there now. So some friends of mine put me up on the couch in their living room. And it was that New York experience that really put me on the map, so to speak, because that's when I got to audition for Jerome Robbins for West Side Story for the London company. And I auditioned for Jerry 3 times. And was it's such a small world. A guy called Howard Jeffrey, who was a star pupil at the American School of Dance, was now assisting Jerry Robbins on West Side Story. And West Side Story was nearing its 1-year anniversary in New York. And my friends that I would let me sleep on the couch in the living room, they knew everything that was going on. And they said, George, go to the Winter Garden Theater where West Side Story was playing and ask for Ruth Mitchell. She was the stage manager for Jerry. And so, hey, that's what I did. I went to the Winter Garden Theater. I asked for Ruth Mitchell, and at the same time saw Howard Jeffrey, who was also assisting Jerry, and I'd known him from the school. So it was kind of a little meeting of people. I knew Howard from the school. But that night he introduced me to Ruth Mitchell, and she looked at me and she said, I think you should read for Bernardo. So they set up an audition for me to read for Jerry for Bernardo. And the day I auditioned for him, he was rehearsing Ballets USA at the Alton Theater. Anyways, I was the only one auditioning that day. And I got there, I met Jerry with that gracious, beautiful smile of his. And anyway, so I read Bernardo. And then he asked me to read for Riff. I went back in the wings and looked at the roll of Riff and came back and read Riff. And then he get in the theater version, Riff sings Cool. So they wanted to give me the sheet music for Cool to learn it and come back and audition again, which I did. And then on, September 16th, my birthday, Ruth Mitchell called me and told me I had the role of Riff in the London company of West Side Story. And that same day, I had 7 checks for my California unemployment. So it was like a bonanza day, you know. It was bit.
So
I didn't know. I was so naive. I just knew that something good had happened, you know.